Hi everyone, my name is Irving. I am the little face in the corner of this presentation and I'm here to talk to you about shifting stereotypes for a bird with eyes larger than its brain. And I'm specifically talking about our ostriches here at Werribee Open Range Zoo. Now when we think about ostriches in our care, they seem to have some labels that follow them around a bit like a bad smell. We're told that they're silly, that they can't learn, they won't remember training. They bury their heads in the sand, and yes, that their eyes are larger than their brain. So when you hear all of these, it starts to form the stereotypes of these silly birds that aren't going to remember anything. So you start to think to yourself, why bother? Why are we going to train these animals that are not going to remember what we're doing? And it starts to form a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy of these poor little silly birds. Now before I play this video, I would like to point out that this is not my video. This is straight from YouTube when you search how to catch an ostrich. So before I press play, I just want to point out for those of us who haven't worked with ostriches before, it can be quite a stressful experience for us and the bird. This is how we started.
Now look, here, watch.
How much time did you spend telling me about 2,000 pounds of kicking force?
Mike, get up here.
Grab his neck. Here.
Get his neck.
I got his neck. He's kicking.
Get his neck down. Grab him.
Steve, let go. Get out of the way, Steve.
Oh, I forgot about the beak. The beak! Oh, God, he's a...
So that's pretty stressful for the ostriches and for us. As you can see, that one didn't actually result in a successful hooding either. So I guess that brings to the question of why do we hood at all? So basically, hooding does remove the visual stimulus for the ostriches. It results in a much calmer bird. By removing those visual stimulus, there's a lot less going on for these beautiful birds to, I guess, worry about. And the end result is them standing nice and still and calm so that you can work with them pretty safely. And it does result in a much safer option, especially if you're working free contact with your larger males. So this is not a tool that we wanted to get rid of altogether, because there has been a lot of success with ostrich hooding in the past and it is a normal practice. We just wanted to change the way we went about hooding our ostriches, so that if there is an emergency and we did need to hood them in a hurry, the result wouldn't be the video we just watched. Our goals for ostrich training was to decrease the amount of manual restraints we had to do with our ostriches. And so we wanted to improve their welfare. We wanted to improve how we worked with ostriches in general. So how did we go about this? For us, it started with a pretty pie-in-the-sky list that you can see in front of us here. So all our ostriches could do at the start was recall to their sound cue. From here, we moved to target training. We then wanted them to learn how to hood themselves. So it was a much less stressful experience and they had the choice if they wanted to be hooded and the control on how it happened. We then wanted to move to working ground level, particularly with our males. In the past, all we've done is stand on the back of the utes and work with them from there, like you can see in that picture on the bottom left of the screen. We then wanted to start working on, I guess, some more management behaviours. We wanted to get voluntary weights on them, have them step onto the scale themselves, so that we can monitor their health. We then thought it would be cool if we added voluntary blood draws at the end of it. Ideally without hoods entirely, but we were going to see how we went. Because this was a pretty big list and we wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. So we needed to set our ostriches up for success if we were going to achieve this long list. For us, that started off with figuring out their natural colour preferences for their targeting. For the females, we worked out that that was blue and white. They had a preference for it, so that was their targeting. For the males, it was a bit different. They preferred the bright yellow, so we attached tennis balls to the end of sticks and they became their target sticks. We found out that movement was really important for them to remember what we were doing. So we tried to move where we were targeting as well as the rate at which we were targeting to help them remember what was going on and to help keep it interesting for them. We figured out that short sessions were important for them as their attention span did seem to waver, but we were trying to do it more often. So for our ostriches, that meant 5 to 6 minutes for the entire group, maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And we worked out that it did work best for us if we recalled all of our other species away. So why was it important for us to move all of the other species away? That's what we like to refer to as our animal assistants. So both of our ostrich groups live in mixed species exhibits. So our males live in a large exhibit where they're one of 7 species. They live out there with southern white rhinos, giraffe, a whole host of different antelope and zebras. These guys are bottom of the pecking order, so moving all of the other species away meant that they felt safer in their area. You can see up the top there in that photo, that's our male ostriches with some rhinos in the background and some giraffe out there too. Our females, on the other hand, live in an exhibit we call Woodlands Waterhole. They live out there with 2 other antelope species, and these guys are top of the pecking order. They're pretty much in charge of whatever happens in woodlands. So moving all of the other antelope away meant that these girls were more able to focus, as they didn't feel like they had to chase all of the other antelope whenever they got into their space. The other thing that we needed to remember, particularly working with the males, is that that is a Cat 1 area. With the rhinos out there, we weren't working on ground level with them, so we needed to set up ourselves a little bit of a space that we could work there safely with our ostriches on the ground without having giraffe and rhino come in and help our session. Now, to give everyone a bit of a view on just how large the space we're working in is, this here is our lower savanna. This is where our ostriches live, well, our males anyway. They share this space with southern white rhinos, giraffe, eland, waterbuck, oryx, zebra. There's a lot of them out there. In this video, there is 57 individuals. It's a huge space. Sometimes we have to recall our ostriches for a bit over 1 kilometre just to be able to do training with them. This is something that we have to factor in with our training time, as it can take a bit of effort for them to go that far. Now, I did mention that there's something that our ostriches could do before we began target training and the rest of our behaviours, was that they had a pretty good recall. So this is where our female ostriches live. This is Woodlands Waterhole, and this is the result of one of their recalls. So how did we progress with our training? As I mentioned, we wanted to start with target training. This was going to be the core for most of our behaviours. So here we have Patches. He's on the left, he's showing us his target training skills. That's his tennis ball, that's his favourite target stick, so that's the one that we use for all of our males. From here we progress to voluntary hooding. What you can't see in that picture there is I'm holding that target stick through the bag. So they have to reach their head all the way into that bag to be able to reach their target stick. So I've put this video here together for you all so that you can see our progressions of how we got into that darker hood. So we can see it starts very see-through, where he's got to reach in, grab that target stick so he can still see out at any stage. From here, our hood started to get darker. We started to work on more opaque hoods, still using that ring to make sure that that hood was staying open. We didn't want that to, touch the sides of their faces too soon. We wanted them to just figure out that they had to go all the way into the bag. This is a slightly darker hood again. We had 4 progression hoods for them to get right down to the end of. You can see he's got to put his head really far to the back in that one to get it. Here we can see my amazing sewing skills. As the hoods got darker, they got harder to sew. This is duct tape. Highly recommend. It's a wonderful tool. Please excuse the gloves. It was freezing. You can see he still has to work all the way to the back of that hood to be able to get to that target stick. This is Buddy. He's doing a great job. And then we progressed to no net around the outside at all. So that was one of our females. This was her first go at a proper voluntary hooding. And it was successful, which is really cool. So from here, we wanted to get them to be able to weigh themselves. We wanted them to enter a chute system where we could work with them safely on ground level. For them to enter that chute, stand on a weigh plate, and walk off calmly so that we could see how their weight was tracking and adjust their diet accordingly. So you can see for this, I am still holding their voluntary hood in my hand. We continue to use that as a bit of a tool. I don't use it for this behaviour. It's just there so that in the event that we do ever have to hood, they're still used to that being around my wrist. So all we're doing here is targeting this male into the chute. He steps on a weigh plate and we get a weight reading from him. So what does this look like? This is Napoleon. You can see he's walked into our chute system. Where I'm standing, I am nice and safe. Standing in on his weigh scale at the moment that we have covered in hay, just to remove that noise of them stepping onto the scales. And his weight for this one is 120 kilos. He's at big male. You can see just how big and tall he is. But in saying that, he's nice and calm, he's focused on his training, he likes his target stick, and it's all going really quite well. So what reinforcers do ostriches like best? We tried a lot of different options. In the end, we found out that pellets was one of their favourite things. Sometimes the girls prefer to use enrichment, or Napoleon here is demonstrating sometimes the targeting itself is what's most reinforcing. Now, I mentioned that we had a bit of a pie in the sky idea that if we achieved all of these things, we wanted to work on medical behaviours. We had an end goal of being able to do voluntary blood draws with no hood entirely. So after they smashed all of our approximations and made it to where they did faster than I could have anticipated, I gave it a shot. Now, rather than talk over the top of this video, I'm going to let our vet explain what he's seeing there. So this is our vet, Brett. He's just successfully done a blood draw on this ostrich girl. Unfortunately, I was pretty focused with what I was doing at the time with the targeting, and I didn't take a video of it happening. But you can see what she's like just after. So this here is Scratchy. She's one of our females, and she was our first to get to a voluntary blood draw stage. We've used the chute system. You can see she's not hooded in this video at all. Let's see how it happens.
You can actually see the vein beautifully around the back.
Just wonder if it's going to If you look in here, you can actually see when I'm holding it up.
If you look in here, you can actually see when I'm holding it up.
We went in earlier, and it's sealed
and there's
up.
the little spick
so
where we went in earlier,
but
and it's sealed up.
Positive for her.
So we would just do this, but we're now going to make it positive for her. And when I let go, that vein should disappear.
So what you can see there is where we did take blood from. Scratchy was happy to stand in there for the entire time that we needed that blood draw. She did take one step back towards the end when we were trying to hold off the vein, and that's something that we did have to work on afterwards. However, what we're doing there is we're continuing to do this behaviour after it's happened, making it a really positive experience for her. So at Zoos Victoria, we like to work on a bit of a scale of we want to go towards the most positive, least intrusive options with all of our animals in our training. So before, for our ostriches, what we had was manual restraint and difficult healthcare. What we have now is a much safer way of managing our ostriches. Every single one of our ostriches on property can voluntarily hood. The majority of them have medical behaviours. We successfully took blood from 4 females just the other day. An added benefit of them learning how to target is they're also really easy to medicate now. We can put the right coloured tablets on our hands and they'll pick them off and eat them all, which is an added bonus that we never really saw coming. So we're at the stage now with our ostriches that it is a bit more like, what stereotype? So our ostriches have achieved all their goals. They've remembered their training. We can step away from our ostrich training for a month or 2, come back, and it's like we've never missed a day. They've progressed further than we thought possible. And as far as the ostriches go, it's a bit more of a what next? Well, I said that we managed to get blood draws on 4 ostriches just the other day. And this is how that looked like. We've gotten rid of the chute altogether. They've got free choice and control, and they can leave and just walk away from us if they don't feel like it. And even without the chute, we were successful in getting blood on 4 of those females. So next steps for our girls is we're working on touching their legs. We want to work for ultrasound and x-ray behaviours, which is pretty exciting. Thank you for listening and watching our amazing ostriches do what they do. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email. I'd love to talk all things ostriches with everyone, and I hope to see you all one day in person. Thanks.